a 25% fee to send money to and from each other. People traveling far away to work hard, to support their families, and send money back home. Why is it so? Then they have to pay a high fee, and many times up to 25%, to send hard-earned money back home to their families. Let me give you an example. Yesterday in a panel, and the last panel, you also discussed M-Pesa a bit. I know that M-Pesa is probably familiar to most of you. It's a payment system in Kenya. It's a very good system. They have done a lot of good things. It has been a fantastic innovation, started back in the late 2008. And today, 92% of the population is using it. But the fact is that the average transaction per day is $1. The average number of transactions per day is 1.4. Let's do the math. That's $10.50 a month in fee for sending money to and from each other. If you add that up to a year, the fee for sending money is $126. $126 is equal to 1 month's salary in these markets. They are using the exact same banking system as we are. They are using the same banking system, the old manual banking system that I am using back home where I come from, and probably the same system as you use here and as in the rest of the world. Why is it then so that I can do cost-free transactions on the same system while these people has to pay up to 25%? It doesn't make sense. And this is what we have solved. Today, there is 2 billion people out there with no access to financial services or bank accounts. Our mission is to contribute to financial inclusion for all these people. By utilizing the blockchain, we have created a digital payment system where all these people can access financial services simply by using their smartphone. These people can now also access services that they before never could reach, but now they can because they have a smartphone in their hand. Not only is our feature a smartphone or a product, it's also a cashier machine, meaning the flip side of the product is a cashier machine. So people living and working in the smaller stores that can't afford a cashier machine can simply now download it, and they can afford it because they have the smartphone. With SPENN, you can save money, you can earn money, you can send money, and you can pay bills cost-free. SPENN consists of 3 things, in the exact same way as Steve Jobs created the iPhone out of 3 components. We have added the 3 components. We're using the smartphone, we have solved the technology for instant payment and for a bank account. And by that, everyone who uses our system has a bank account simply by downloading the app. And people can take the first step out of the cash society. My name is Jens Glasø. I'm the founder of this company. I'm the founder of SPENN. The company that owns SPENN is Blockbonds and has the sole purpose of owning the product SPENN. What problem are we solving? We are eliminating the cash. and the problems associated with the cash as a physical element. And by doing so, we help empower people and mitigate the issue of knowing who owns what. By holding this unit, I am the owner of it. By holding this phone, I am the owner of the money that's inside. If the difference here is that this is protected with a PIN code. If I lose the phone, the money is safe. If I lose the phone, I can restore my money. Of course, if you give away your PIN code, the money is not safe. But I assume you don't give away the PIN code to your Visa card or MasterCard or whatever you have. So how do we work? And how do we empower these people? What is it that we are doing? What is the difference that we are doing? We are working on many levels. We are working together with the banks in a local market, and we provide a product to the banks so they can integrate this to their existing customers. And by doing so, the existing customers becomes an onboarding channel to the users that I want to attract, the unbanked. But what we are doing, we are moving into the fields and we are doing the educational part. We are sitting down with the people who runs the local store and tell them the importance of taking the first step out of the cash society and moving into the digital currency world. And what is the digital currency? It's nothing different than the local currency is today. We are today in 11 countries. In these countries, the population is 1.7 billion people. 45% of these people has a smartphone. But 1 million of these people is unbanked. In the exact same way as India jumped over the landline telephone and went straight to the mobile phone, we believe that these people will move straight into using the mobile money. And why? Because when they go to the bank doesn't want them as a customer. Why? Because the cost of maintaining an account costs you between $35 to $55. So the customer comes into the bank and say, hey, I want a bank account. And the bank says, well, come back with more papers. And he comes back and it's humiliating. So it doesn't work. So we are entering where the banks are limiting themselves. And this is what we do. And today we are 80 people working in these countries, helping these people to do the financial inclusion, to take the first step out, and to become banked. It's a big task, and we have a lot of things to do. We are working, as said, on multiple levels. Also, we've been attracted by humanitarian organizations. Why? Because we're solving an issue. Our product is cost-free. In other words, to send money internationally or domestically is cost-free. Receive money is cost-free. To top up is cost-free. To withdraw money is cost-free. To pay bills is cost-free. So what is the issue with the humanitarian organizations? We are cooperating with a couple of them. What is the key issue? Without mentioning any names, what is the cost for bringing the money from the head office to the actual people in need? 40 to 45% minimum with the ones that we are working with. 45% of the capital which is being sent from, for example, America to a refugee camp in Jordan or anywhere in Africa is up to 45%. So by using this new technology, blockchain, they can now move that money at zero cost. In other words, they have more money to help more people. So, back to what we were doing. I showed you some pictures. This is what we do. We are out there, we're talking to these people, and we explain them the importance of using this tool. What about people don't need this? They want to use cash. Well, this guy probably feels safe. But why do we use Uber? When I arrived to Johannesburg a couple of days ago, the custom agent told me, and I was asking for which transport to take. This is my first time. I wanted to find out if I were safe. And she said, well, you can go out there, you can find regular taxi there and there. And I say, do you have Uber? Yes, we do have Uber. Is that safe? It's very, very, very safe, she said. Like 4 times. I said, okay, fine, so that's safe. Why is it safe? Because it's a digital track. So when you jump in that taxi and when you go out, there's a digital track and we rate each other and we know there is someone monitoring that if something goes wrong. And this is exactly the same here. This guy here, he's not only a user, but he is also my ambassador. And this is what I do. I use the power of these people because I go out there and I explain them why this is important. And now, he has been taking the first step out of the cash society and he's changing his dignity and his self-esteem. And that does something with people. But not only that. I have to do marketing to also reach other people around. And right now, without the marketing, and mark my words, right now, without making any marketing, but using the tool I'm going to tell you about, I have a growth of 500 new customers per hour in one country. So what I'm doing here is that if I'm going to buy a customer using marketing, if I'm going to use Facebook or if I'm going to use Google, there's a customer acquisition cost for me. And that cost is $3. So what I'm doing is I'm thinking, why can I not use the power of this guy? And I can explain him the importance of this tool. And I tell him, if you, next time this customer comes into your store and you tell him about our product, I give you $1.50. $1.50 sounds little. It's enough to put food on the table for one person into 4 days in many of the markets where we are. It's a lot of money. But not only that, this guy who's sitting in that chair, he will also get $1.50. So now he has $1.50 more that he can spend in his store or to pay for that haircut. I have to spend the exact same money, so why should I give it to Facebook and Google when I can give it to the people? It's one time. So he can never do that again with that guy. It's only one time. But in the markets where we are, as mentioned, right now, there's quite a few people, 1.7 billion people. And it's not only a tool for the unbanked, it's a tool for everyone. It's about convenience. It's about making the day simpler. Why should I log into my internet bank and enter the bank account if I'm going to send money to some of these people? It's much easier for me to pick up the phone, enter the phone number, and just send. Let me give you an example. I'm from Norway, and a couple of years ago, the second biggest bank, called DNB Nor, was launching a similar system. In Norway, it's a small country, it's a 5 million population, and there's 2.5 million bank accounts, which means everyone has it. So what happened? They launched this product, and within the first year, they had 2.2 million customers. Today, in Norway, no one's using cash. I don't walk around with cash anymore. And if it works for us, it works in other markets. This happens in the US, Venmo. It happens in Denmark, it happens in Sweden. It has definitely happened in Kenya, and it has definitely happened in Bangladesh. But the issue with those last two is the cost. And it's an old manual system where they're using a text-based system. And you can say that, okay, fine, you're using smartphone and not everyone has it. No, but the growth is going to be 200% over the next 3 years. So it's more than good enough for me. So how can we do this cost-free? As mentioned, I'm partnering up with banks. I partner up with one bank in every market. I give the tool to the bank. I say, this is my tool. You can have it. I'm the owner of the brand, and I'm the owner of the technology. That's it. You're owning the customers, and you're owning the float capital. Mark my word, float capital. So what we're doing is we give the product to the bank, which again integrates it. And my users generate a deposit out of how they use the system, how they use the product SPENN. And this deposit is generated into that one bank account. It's exactly the same as the old manual bank that we know. How is that system working? The bank that I'm using has a bunch of money, and my account number is dedicating which amount is mine. That's the difference. So we have created a fully digital system, which is exactly the same as the old system. That deposit, the bank can use as a tool. Where is the bank making money? What is the basis of a bank? It's attracting money to themselves and lend it out at a higher interest. It's a no-brainer. And this is exactly what we're doing. The bank use this as a tool, and they pay us a fee on the money that they are generating. Let me give you an example again. M-Pesa. I told you the average transactions, etc. What do you think the amount per month is, the float per month? $2.4 billion. That's an important asset to the bank. They can strengthen their position with the regulator. Therefore, we can go to a smaller bank. We can go to a rural, or let's say a bank focusing on the unbanked, and they will strengthen their own position to the regulator. And of course, they will strengthen their customer base because we're out there and we're making sure to attract customers where the banks are limiting themselves. We believe it's a human right to have a bank account. In the exact same way as United Nations and World Bank claims that the first step out of the cash society is also the first step out of the poverty, which also was mentioned yesterday. This is SPENN. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? No?
That's promising.
Thank you.
Hi, Gunnar Trotel from Standard Bank.
From?
It's great. I mean, what you've been doing there, I mean, looks fantastic, and it's. I mean, I know there's lots of Dcash communities. I mean, even like China, for example, they got whole cities that are Dcashed.
Yes.
But it's not as simple as that. So I think the whole point is where, in your experience, where do you get started? Because at some stage, you know, if people get paid a salary in cash and they transact in cash, you know, how do you get the critical mass to actually get started? Is it, you know, there are different ways to do it. And if you got big communities that are where cash is well entrenched, or even like South Africa, when we have cash and, you know, kind of modern electronic payment system, you know, how do you get started?
Okay, first of all, we're today in 11 countries, Philippines, Pakistan, India, and 7 African countries, and in Mexico. That's where we're working today. We're live in Rwanda, we're live in Philippines, and we're expecting to be live in Kenya and Tanzania at the latest during this quarter. So what we're doing is that we are giving the product, as mentioned, to the bank, and the bank sends in a product description to the regulator, because this is not our product, it's the bank's product. And how we kickstart it is that we move into the areas as I described, and we sit down with the people, and you know, we're educating them, and then we have the element of the reward. So this guy everyone can be an ambassador, not only me or not only you, but every user can be our ambassador. They can use this reward model. It's a gas pedal and it's a brake pedal for us as well, you know, to control the growth. And we can control it in areas. I can go into this village and I can explain and sit down with that owner of that store and say, and he would say to me that, well, I don't want to use this tool. And then I can explain him, well, we're doing this campaign here, and more people is coming. I can even increase the amount. And now I can say, well, there's 1,000 or 10,000 people around you that wants to use this money in your store. Or should I send them to the neighbor? So we have a very good monitoring tool, and this is how we adjust it. But the kickstarting, if that was your question, is we start in the small. We start where no one else is starting pretty much, because the bank doesn't go out there, but we do. So we have created something that I call an online training program. And you're right, it's all about employmency. So we have created this online training program, which is a multiple choice test that people that's going to become our ambassadors has to go through that, and they have to pass. And if they pass, they will be called upon when we're moving into the areas where they are. So call it a guerrilla team if you like. We're moving in with a number of people into the different areas, and we're sitting down with them, and we're explaining them, and we're educating them of how to use this, and then it spreads out. Because these people want to send money back home to their families or friends or somewhere else in the country, and that is expensive. And remember, this is cost-free. Was that the answer to your question? Have I forgotten anything?
I would like to find out to what extent you have to partner with the banks in order to spread this product, because you did clarify that the product is owned by the bank. However, you have also described how exactly you build the awareness within the communities. So do they need your support after they take on this product to actually roll it out for all of that, facilitating the test, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes. Thank you. Very good question. First of all, are we disrupting the banks? No, absolutely not. We need them, right? In a world where everyone wants to disrupt everyone, we are definitely not disrupting the bank. I think that would be the wrong track as well, because if we did, we would fight against regulators. And I don't think that is a sustainable solution. Just look at Uber, Airbnb, and so on, and you understand what I'm talking about. Definitely, they need support. And we're supporting them after they launch this. And we always have a fully operational team in every country where we go in. And we have a setup of team. We have a fixed structure of that. And the bank, of course, needs support after they launched. However, their role is primarily to integrate it to their existing customers. And you know, in markets where we're talking about this high amount of population, there's also another reason. They don't want all these people to walk into their branch. And that's why we have a couple of levels where our user is, you have a regular user and you have an ambassador, which then, why we're using this online training program, where when they are approved, they are allowed also to go into the bank and do adjust. Because this guy here is not only the user, he's also the agent. And remember, when he's out in the street, remember, if I'm going to do withdrawal, or if I'm going to do top up, or if I'm going to do deposits, I can, of course, go to the bank. That's cost-free. But that's maybe half an hour away or an hour away for me to walk. Or even worse, what we see is that when people is running their own businesses, they have to close down the business for maybe 2 hours. But they have to jump on the bus, and that takes 2 hours, and they have to stand in line in 2 hours. So suddenly they have to take the bus back in 2 hours more, and it's 6 hours, so it's a whole day gone. So if I can go to that lady and I can say, can I withdraw money with you, or can I deposit money with you? And she said, sure. But then I would like you to pay me a fee, because I would like to make money on it. We say, fine. It's a self-regulated system. We don't interfere with that. But when that transaction is done, they rate each other star 1 to 5, exactly like Uber. So now this is also a business for him. So it's a recurring business for him. It's not only the first time, the 1.5, but we're kickstarting the whole thing by doing that. Yes, we do give support to the banks, and we're there for the banks, of course. And we are building. In Kenya, we expect to be 300 people the next 12 months. So.
Do you pay the agents or
Yes.
the ambassadors? It's not the banks who actually take on this cost.
So what I maybe didn't mention, so how we solve this is creating a digital national currency. And there's only one way of creating a digital currency. And the solution is simple. You have to create a digital currency that you are backing one-to-one by the national currency. That's what we do. And this is how it works. So when we are giving the reward, we need to make sure that there is always one-to-one, which is on, let's say, the wallet system and what's outside. So whatever money the people is depositing is, if 1 Kenyan shilling is equal to 1 Kenyan shilling in a bank. So 1 Kenyan shilling on this device is equal to 1 Kenyan shilling in a banking system. So if I give you 50 peso or 50 or 100 Kenyan shilling in reward, it's an automatic transfer from what we call the marketing account in our side. So yes, we are paying for it, and we are paying for the fees that's covered by the bank, or when they go into the bank, the fees there is what we cover. It's an agreement that we have with the bank. So it's cost-free, as mentioned, but the interaction that starts between people is something between you and the other person. That's about convenience. You can always walk to the bank and do cost-free, but you can also walk to him and pay 2%, 3%, whatever you agree on. And we don't interfere. We recommend 2, but it's up to you. But you know how it is with people. People are copying each other. So when you have started to be the one that's using the system, and there's a POS system here where you can see where you can go and withdraw money. And if I'm going to withdraw money now, why should I leave this room? I want to be here with you. So then I would take my phone, I enter the POS system, and I will find the closest person and say, okay, I want to withdraw money. Let's meet. We do the withdrawal, and we just stare at each other, and it's done. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Faith Pella from Cellulant, Nigeria.
Hi.
And I just want you to share more light on how you manage liquidity in the ecosystem. Because from your explanations, look like these are more of remote areas. The banks, as you mentioned, are not closer to the people. So how do they float their accounts? And how do you manage the sustainability of liquidity, especially when cash has to be physical cash, not digital? Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. In Philippines, we are cooperating with the biggest banking network that exists there. So we cooperate not only with the bank, but the bank are also connected with banking agents very often. You know the systems, I assume. We are looking into Nigeria, by the way, very interesting country, but we haven't been there yet, so I don't know too much about your country. But I do know about how it works in the other markets. And this is also why we are creating these, let's say, head agents or the ambassadors. So if I run a store which is an hour away from the bank, it's my business. So when you come to me and you want to top up or you want to withdraw or you want to pay a bill if you don't do it on your own device, or if there is something else that you want to do, withdrawal or top up, you pay me a fee. So if it's 1,000 and you pay me 5%, if that's the price for me walking to the bank and because I have to go back to the bank and adjust my balance, because if you've been withdrawing all my money, if you give me all your money from your phone to my phone and I give it to you in cash, now I have to go back to the bank and adjust that. And that's my work now. So this is how it works. So how much is needed for that person to spend that hour doing that? But that's why we have the POS system. So people in these rural areas, which you are pointing at, can go into the POS system and they can see where I can withdraw or where I can deposit money, or where I can use it, where I can buy things, etc., where I can use it. Because that's extremely important. Usage and also trust to the system. And trust gains through the ability to withdraw and deposit. Was that an answer to your question?
Thank you.
There's one more. Do you have time? Or?
Thank you. I'm Challenge Piri from EcoCash Zimbabwe. So I'm just wondering from a risk and compliance perspective on these agents, who manages them and who monitors them? Because as I know, when two people exchange value, whether physical or electronic, there is bound to be fraud or lack of fairness, especially in our economy.
I think that's a longer topic about the security. I should definitely have my CTO to answer your question, and I'm delighted to let him give you the answer. But the security is quite simple structure. First of all, we are using a technology which is an open source technology. We are not Bitcoin or any other coins. We are our own currency. And we are using what we call a multi-chain, which is the same as NASDAQ and Morgan Stanley and Deutsche Bank, et cetera, et cetera. And why are we using this? Because it's we that's setting the rules. The security, of course, lays under the regulations of the regulator. And I would put it this way. The regulator regulates the bank, and the bank regulates us. So whatever the regulation or security requirements the bank is putting on us is what we are delivering to the bank. So without being arrogant, the security would be similar to as it would be with the bank you're together with today. Although it's also worth mentioning that if someone is hacking our system, of course, we're doing multiple tests all the time. They cannot run away with the money, because where is the money? The money is in the bank. See my point? Also, by using the blockchain, we are tracking everything, and it's non-edible. You can never change it afterwards. So we can see all tracks. And it is the most secure technology that exists today. So without going deeper into the technical details, I hope that is covering your answer. Oh, question, sorry? Yes? Fine?